I'm Janpha Thadphoothon. Hello, everybody. My talk today is about the future of English. Actually, it's about the present day ELT perceived from our predictions. So the title is a reverse genealogical analysis of the present day foreign language education. I'm Janpha Thadphoothon. This is the outline. And the aim of my talk is really to construct the picture of the present day foreign language education. And in my case, ELT is the representation of ELT, of foreign language education. Really, it is to investigate the present situation of ELT through the lens of the future so that we can better understand our present day construction. Just a disclaimer, I'm not an expert in future study. I'm just an English language teacher. Neither is that I'm the expert in AI. So this is my disclaimer. Yes, as I said, I'm an English language teacher at the Faculty of Arts, Thurikit Bandit University in Bangkok, Thailand. I've been teaching for over 20 years, in fact. And this is a schematic representation of what I refer to as reverse genealogy by the look at the present through the lens of the future. You have future 1, future 2, and future 3, and the present. Actually, this is the idea I first heard from Professor Maria Brennan from the University of Canberra, Australia, many years ago, like 20 years ago. And we talk about language in general. I want to just make the point that language, according to Noam Chomsky, is the core of everything. That's why the theme of the conference is actually on the role of language in development. It also, I would happen to mention the history. Of course, we can look at the present from the lens of the history. By looking at the history, we can understand the present according to Yuval Noah Harari. And the present, according to Harari, is neither natural nor inevitable. So in addition to looking at the past, we can also look at the future prediction, including trend watching. The future is what matters, many people would say. So in fact, if we look closely at the atomic level, like quantum atomic level, hardly any distinction between the past, the present, and the future. We are not just too big. As you can see, we can understand the present from the past. We can understand the present from the future. So the present is largely open and it's up to us to some degree. So the definition, as I said, the reverse genealogy is actually the way of looking at the present through the lens of the future. As I said, this is based on Professor Brennan. She gave a paper on the genealogy of curriculum in the year 2002 in Canberra. And there are many terms when we talk about prediction, but in my paper, I will talk about prediction in general. The other terms include the trends, imagination, scenario, and forecast. Of course, there are other ways of looking at the future, like prophecy and fantasy. Like the thing is that no one really knows the future. The future can be very tricky. Another term I would like to point out is the term AI, artificial intelligence. According to Kai Fu Lee, it's smart software and hardware capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. And AI has two characteristics. Number one is the ability to learn from the experience and the ability to exhibit human-like characteristics. And according to Dirk Van Dam from the OECD, AI will trigger the deepest and most disruptive change in the 20th century. And we talk about language. The language when I'm talking to here refer to a system of sign by two laws. the paradigmatic law and the syntagmatic law. Paradigmatic law is about the substitution of elements member in the parameter, and the syntagmatic law is the permutation of members. Prediction. So what I'm trying to do is to look at the prediction, what the predictions are and what they mean and what to tell us about the future. So the method is actually to look into the future scenario and trends. I will call prediction. And I would collect that form three domains: the general domain, education domain, and the language domain. So you can see from this figure, from the general prediction, education prediction, and the language predictions. So the data source come from the individuals in general, for example, Nick Bostrom, Halali, Lennox, and Techmark, and Kai-Fu Lee. These are actually AI experts and scientists, including historian. Actually, Techmark is a physicist. Okay. And education, from the education umbrella, we are looking at the predictions from the Center for Universal Education and bookings, the OECD, United Nations, UNESCO, and CSIRO. This is a think tank in Australia, and the World Economic Forum. And for the ELT part, we're just looking at some papers and prediction or comments by our experts, like David Crystal, that long time ago, from British Council, Chia Suan Chong, and from Sun, 8 major trends in the global ELT several years ago, and Hockley and Dudney, current and future digital trends in ELT, and a paper by Cora, New Trends in English Language Teaching and Learning in ELT. Findings now. So trends and prediction, I will actually talk about this in order from the general education and language. Generally, we can see from the analysis from the expert that AI is coming really strong. It's like new electricity. It will transform every dimension in the society. And so we need to get ready for, we need to learn digital skills, teacher and students alike. You need to up your skill. You need to re-skill yourself. And this need to be done urgently. And we will be having teleworking. I think it's happening now, teleworking and the rise of automation like self-driving car, chatbot, and autonomy. Autonomy is mean both for both humans and for the machines, like autonomous learning machine and autonomy in learners. There will be some job losses, and there will be some groups who will be severely affected by the transformation. And we are seeing the new things in technology like the metaverse and new internet, including Web3. Climate change, okay, environmental problems, including, and lastly, the conflicts and the war, like new geopolitical landscape. So these are the general picture. Narrowing it down, before I move on to the education, there are many people talking about the existential risk, like nuclear wars, the AI collusion and then attacking human, and other existential risks like the asteroid striking the Earth. And according to TechMac, where machines may be very useful for us, doesn't have to be a bad thing. And I quite agree with this. And TechMac has actually talked about the transformation of life from a biological being to a cultural being, and we are now moving toward a technological being. in the book Life 3.0. It's a fascinating book. And, I just want to quote from Sundar Pichai. You can have a conversation with T-Rex. You can summon a T-Rex into your room. This can be done through either a hologram system or a VR. And Harari would say that it will be like science fiction. Elon Musk, just trying to set a colony in Mars and to move human from a single planet species to a multiple or planet species. Actually, there's a project called Neuralink project that will put a chip into the human brain. This is not it's like science fiction, but it's actually has been done. Mark Zuckerberg will actually work on his metaverse, bringing people together. And there will be groups of people who will be severely affected by the transformation, according to Harari. Thadphoothon is actually highlight both challenges and opportunities, immersive personal entertainment, AI sensor, the genetic fortune telling, ubiquitous AI that will know you better than know yourself. Now, moving on to education. Education, we can look at the partnership for the 21st century skills that came out in 2009. I think still relevant: creativity, criticality, communication, cross-cultural communication, collaboration, information media, ICT skill, and life skills, career skills. Artificial intelligence prediction, I think I mentioned about this, will trigger the deepest and most disruptive change. And for the CSIRO prediction, there are actually 7 predictions about the future and outlook for 20 years. And 2 of them actually are the impact of digital technology and the use of AI in the future. And UNESCO report is actually recognizing the impact of technology, and they are trying to do something about it by asking people to sign a new contract, making education more equal and can sustain the impact of the technological and digital transformations. This is the OECD by the director himself, Andrea Schischer. Okay, what will education look like in 20 years? And he had come up with 4 scenarios: from schooling, extended schooling, education, outsourced. There will be many sources outside the school as the learning hub, and learning as you go, anytime, anywhere. As I said, this is probably not news, but this is the future. Thadphoothon, actually, AI will fix education. There will be AI used in school, more individualized learning. We will have AI tutor and human tutors, human teacher. And he said, AI will make learning more effective and engaging and fun. Teacher will have more roles. We have new roles, actually, as a mentor, connector, and as someone who is working with AI. Now, narrowing it down further to the issue of language education represented by ELT, from the analysis, we can see that English is still the dominant language of the 21st century. We will be using more technology, and technology will be more immersive and, a thinking machine. AI infused instruction and individualized instruction and autonomy in both learner, teacher, and also the machine. We will have new roles and we have new teaching methods. English in the 21st century by David Crystal. I think he mentioned it many years ago, what English in the 21st century will be a dominant language. But other languages may disappear, if we do nothing about it. prediction of ELT in the 2000, according to Mark Warshaw in 2000, he said that future speakers of English will use English together with technology to express their identity and make their voice heard, end of quote. Elizabeth Hanson Smith in the year 2001 published a book chapter, Computer Assisted Language Learning. And in the book, she's mentioned about the evolution of computer in language education from the 80s to the 90s. Is the period where we learn how to use that technology. But at the turn of the 21st century, the early years, the emphasis, according to the chapter, should be on how to use technology, how the technology affects learning, and how we can come up with the new roles. Bill Gates had mentioned about the ability of speech recognition. In fact, he said that it can outperform humans. That's really my goal. And he said that 10 years ago. And closer to home, Professor Adger, actually, he said that AI could be very good at languaging, but they would do it differently. Another professor, Rose Luckin, and professor of Learner Center Design, University College London, he said that we should embrace AI, we should want it to help us, but we should be wise, careful, and judicious. So what do they tell us about the present of ELT? They tell us that at the moment, technology is driving education, including language education, severely affected by technology. And we need digital skill. We need to be able to work with the machine and use the machine. And we have to think about our identity as a human teacher. And we are, as a mentor or as a counselor, we have more identities and new roles as well. What the data say? We have both challenges and opportunities. We are using more technology, and there are a lot of data, information, size, and textual signification. There are risks and uncertainties. We have a lot of information and misinformation. We are moving towards automation, the use of digital technology, and more autonomy in terms of the students and in terms of humans and the machine and the changing roles. Thinking about what should we do? Okay, the present sign and symptoms. Now we have worries and anxiety. English is a runaway thing. We have been using computer applications, self-learning, translation, chatbot, speech recognition, including grammar correction and text generation, summarization, tokenization, all other things. New normal, new elements, like it's not the same thing. Boom of education, not sure, maybe education is being transformed, individualized learning. And we have a lot of talks and documents online. The big question asked, is it up to us? Maybe not. Do something about it, and what should we do and how to do it? And there are more big questions. Thank you. And this is my summary. Like others, ELT has primarily been affected by technological change because it's the language of technology and business and science. So the future projected by the present reflect our worry, anxiety, and mixed feeling of both challenges and opportunity. Thank you very much, everybody. This is the end of my talk. So I'd like to end this with this quotation from Henry David Thoreau. Thank you very much.